I can say right now that there are things in my personal life that are so fucking hard for me to accept.
Yeah.
Every day, from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to bed. And I think what's so interesting about this podcast, man, is I'm not watching it. Like, I edit it. So I watch all of it to the T, and then it gets posted, and it's
watching while you're editing is a totally different way of watching. Because I do the same thing for the shorts. And a lot of the times I'm trying to dig for the content. And sometimes I'll be like, oh, this piece was amazing. And there's certain things, especially when it's like on episode like 43, I think, or 42, when we did the Reddit and you got super vulnerable. It's like those moments. It's like, oh, I'm watching those moments for sure. But it's just different than the few times that I've actually gone down and put our podcast on and sat and watched the whole thing.
Oh, yeah. And I just feel like it's not common for people that are the creators to have the time or the energy to watch it like a fan would or something. And I just don't. I don't have the time or energy. I mean, I catch a lot of the shorts that you do. But my point being that, like, we're constantly changing and evolving and like, we're just never the same. And I feel like this podcast is a perfect example of that. Because there's so many podcasts of just growth. And then what feels like maybe backtracking isn't. It's just like a new season. And so like the last podcast, or the 2 podcasts ago, right, we talked about, drug abuse or alcohol abuse and all of this. And we talked a lot about weed, and like, there's this, like, it's funny to me how if you wanted to, you could go back and watch the last 20 episodes and you would just see such a evolution of change for like you and me, and how we like skate through life and what we talk about, and like what we're grounded in, what we're letting go, what we're bringing back. And I think like every day for like the last few weeks, no matter what I've said on this podcast, there's been this part of my personal life that's just been tough and like feels like trials of this idea of feeling like I have very little control. And it's just about, like I've been saying this thing, like accepting the process. And it's been really hard for me most days to accept the process that I'm in with certain things in my life. And so for sleep, because I feel like I've lost control and I'm not accepting my sleep problems well at all. Like for many months there, I was accepting my issues with sleep very well. It was just like, hey man, you're not the greatest sleeper. And when you're stressed out, you might lose some hours. And like, I just haven't been accepting that. So I have brought cannabis back into my life for sleep. And it, works just beautifully because I am having a harder time accepting certain things. And they're just like ruminating and sitting on my
cerebellum,
my psyche. And so I feel like it's like the never ending quest of how to accept life.
Well, I do think we go through periods of life that are tougher to accept. If I just like think back like 6 months ago, there was less things happening in my life that I needed to accept. And life felt a little more, actually, maybe not even 6 months ago. It's been a minute. But yeah, I just feel like we go through periods of life being heavier, life being a lot more work, feels like. And whether that means you're actually doing things or that those things that you're doing just take more effort. And I feel like it's just been like that for a minute. And there's a lot of things I can think of in my life, like my back pain, that I've had going on week 13. Holy mother of Jeebus. But it has been a storm of acceptance every single Monday when I wake up with still chronic lower back pain. That is a huge part of my acceptance. And there's a handful of other things I can think of that I don't necessarily want to mention openly on this podcast that are going on as well, that are all about just acceptance and getting through the day, getting through the week, getting to the next podcast. We're here. We're at episode 45. It's like last week was a tough one. Also was a beautiful week, but it was a lot of acceptance. And some days were miserable, filled with anxiety and chronic panic. A lot of work, but then got to a place of acceptance. And that's why I texted you, like, maybe we should do it on acceptance, because I know there's things going on in your life too that we talk about on a daily basis, if not a little bit less, but on just really hard things going on in the background that we can't control by any means. And the only thing we can control is that we accept that that's just what life is. That's what's going on right now.